New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Briz and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again to your ones, Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit for Friday. It is October...
Number 4.
4th. 4th. Thank you. Which means we are just 30-some short days away from the most important election in American history.
Yes, I would agree with that. There's so many things going on and so much to be informed about that that now is the time to check your sources and check them twice, because they're gonna find out who's naughty and nice. So you better do it.
Exactly. So, and we want to, before we dive into all of that weirdness, we do want to raise up a thought and a prayer and a little bit more, if possible, for the people of Appalachia, not just Asheville, North Carolina, although they're getting most of the headlines. There's a lot of smaller communities throughout Tennessee and North Carolina. Throughout that part of the region, they are have been impacted and are continuing to clean up and clear out, and supplies are starting to get in. My understanding, but it's we talked a little bit last week, right? The storm cycle continues. There's more building. There's some more to keep an eye on. And I keep seeing these conspiracy theorists this past week that say, well, what makes a storm? So what happened really, we know now more than ever, is that the ground was already saturated. The storm slowed down, and just an insane amount of rainfall fell into an area that's not geographically capable of handling that much water. And it had really nowhere to go but down all these little hollows. And I saw somebody like, well, what makes a storm that big slow down that fast? And the mountains, people. Like, there's a mountain range there. The storm ran into a friggin' mountain range. That's what slows down a storm like that. But the storm did stall pretty heavy over that region.
Yeah, I mean these weather patterns. I mean, when you think about it, I don't know if people are really paying attention. It was 90 degrees in Denver on Monday, and then it was 89 or something yesterday, a day before yesterday, and it's October.
Yeah, we often,
and
over the time I've been living in Colorado, we often see the first snowstorm. Right now, it's never a lot, and it never lasts a long time. But I usually have seen at least a quarter inch of a dusting enough to measure or enough to recognize it's a white lawn out there. And I've got my own little tradition. I play a specific song on the first day I see snow at my place every year, and it's October and we haven't seen a lick. We barely had much rain in September here, and yeah, it's been now I got a feeling it's absolutely gorgeous up at Linda's place. Morning, Linda.
Yes.
Good to see you. Because this slow, warm, dry weather has been amazing for leaf peeping. Colorado leaf peepers, even to the point where I saw a story about a mountain town that was revolting against leaf peepers because they just clog up the roads and park in the middle of the street and go and just park their car and walk off with their car in the middle of the mountain road. Nobody can get around. People can't get to work, stuff of that nature. But it has been good weather to get out and see some color in the trees throughout Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a drought in Colorado right now, right? And they're saying it's going to get worse because for the rest of this week, it's going to be 83 or higher for the next 7 days, I think. Maybe one day it's not. And, and here's the other bad thing, if you will, or here's the other thing. There's another storm brewing in the Gulf right now that they're looking at. And we still have 2 months of hurricane season to go. Hurricane season ends at the end of November.
Yeah.
And so we need to pay attention. And I think the thing that I think is possible is for each person to figure out what they can do to eliminate some of the bad habits, if you will, that they have that contribute to this problem. Now, is it a drop in a bucket? Maybe, but if we get enough drops, we'll get a full bucket here in a minute. So I'm trying to make sure I limit my plastics. Make sure I, don't leave lights on when I don't need them. Those kinds of things that people don't think about in terms of emitting stuff into the air or into the atmosphere really do.
Yep. Colorado instituted, forget how long it's been now, but I know that they have this flexible pricing on electricity at this point, where it costs me more to run my washer and dryer after a certain point in the morning and until a certain point in the evening. And my wife's got those written down, and we've just trained ourselves that we do our laundry later in the evening instead of middle of the day. And it's not necessarily about the price, because the price difference isn't that much that it's going to, now I'm sure if you were doing it every day, it adds up, but it's that reminder that by doing these types of activities at off hours, we are actually helping to at least not compound the problem.
Right.
Electric lawnmowers rather than gas lawnmowers. We haven't had a gas lawnmower in maybe a decade at this point. We just find electric lawnmowers. They work great. They work the same. Maybe it takes me a little bit longer to mow my lawn, but it gets done. Yeah, you can tell it's fall. I'm finally willing to admit that we mow our lawn once in a while.
Right. Yeah.
It comes back to our systems piece, right? Z, you and I talk about this all the time. It's one system. And we all have to recognize that and be contributing to the health and the maintenance and the upkeep of this one system that's life, that is the universal everything. And if we're not, we're part of the problem. We're tearing things down. It's this is why I got to tell you, I've actually long had some growing respect for Liz Cheney. I don't always, I rarely have agreed with her. I think probably there's only one thing we agree on, her and I. But I have a lot of respect for her because she has always been, from her perspective, working to find solutions. And Liz campaigning with Kamala Harris, to me, means she's committed to finding a solution, even if that solution is coming through a party she doesn't belong to or doesn't necessarily agree with.
You know, I always, to be honest, admired her because she was articulate. And she had a good skill at explaining things. Now, I may not have always liked what she explained or what her position was that she was explaining, but I think she had, and then there was the whole little bit of bias towards her because of her father. But even her father came out and endorsed, Dick Cheney came out and endorsed Harris. So, I mean, when you look at some of the old guard Republicans who are coming out and supporting Harris Walt's ticket, that should say something. Because these are the guys who built that. I mean, Dick Cheney was one of the ones who really built that party before the Tea Party and all these other things started trying to siphon away power because they felt they weren't involved enough, or they didn't, not that they weren't involved enough, that they didn't like the way things were going. And so, that should say a lot. And just on that one thing on that, I was on a Zoom call last night where they were talking about the Project 25. And most people don't know whether they think Trump is using that platform or not. That thing got started in 73. So it was not some this is not some fly-by-night operation. And one of the founders of that organization, the Heritage, was none other than our own Mr. Coors of Coors Beer, was a part of that original group.
Good old Adolf, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. That really doesn't. I didn't know that they had been working on it since 73. I knew. Yep. I know. I've been told that it's a well coordinated, long-term play. Mm-hmm. And the Republican Party as a whole has been looking at how to retain power long-term for a long time now. Right. I think in many ways, a lot of them are kind of scared because whether Trump's name is in that, whether he's prepared to follow that, even his own Project 47, I think they've called it, which is just kind of like the cheap knockoff rewrite.
Project 25 Light.
That book you find on Amazon that's like $3 instead of $30, and it's just a knockoff. It doesn't actually contain what you want it to contain, but it's good cover, terrible guts. But regardless of any of it, what seems clear is he is hell bent on tearing apart the fabric that is the United States, this democratic republic, whatever we want to call it. He is hell bent on ripping it apart.
Yep.
And
it's it's a power play by both parties in some ways. Like, it's not even about the people anymore. It's about being in power and being able to dictate and control, or trying to control. Because I heard something the other day, about emergence, right? We have emerged into this situation, and the way they described it is like you have all these independent parts to make something, but once you put those things together and make them, if you have too much salt in the bread, you can't take the salt out. You got to throw away the bread.
Yes.
A deal with the salt. I mean, you can't take the salt back out.
You can lather some extra butter on top of it, but it's still going to taste salty as shit at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm with you.
And that's kind of like where we are now. We've emerged into this crazy battleground, if you will. And I hate when they use those terms because it just creeps your thing. And the only way to get out of the battleground is to leave it, to just get rid of it.
Yep.
And start something new.
I never in my life thought that I would consider Mike Pence an American hero. Right? I never thought I would consider Mike Pence to be an American hero. But from what we've learned this week, what's been released this week, he actually stood up to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And now his followers wanted to hang him for it. Trump's followers wanted to hang Pence for what he did. But what he did is he stood up for our democratic republic. He stood up for the way this country is, and did not let Trump bully his way into it. Did not side with the bully. Finally stood up to Trump. All right, granted, it took him 4 years of riding high on the hog to realize, oh shit, I might be making a deal with the devil here. But when push came to shove, he didn't sign his name on the dotted line. He could have, and he didn't. And
I await that memoir. I know it's coming.
Oh God, yeah.
And I don't know, but I don't know if you have to wait a certain amount of time, you have to get out of office to write those things or whatever. I don't know, but I'm waiting for that one. If it's and if he's honest, it'll be something. But now, how about this? Go ahead.
No, I want the title of that book to be No, you didn't. You didn't win, dipshit.
That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. But now, what about this news that Melania Trump makes a video confirming her support for abortion rights, which is at odds with her husband?
Makes me actually wonder if Melania has a heart after all.
Well, I think she's dead. I think she's saving face right now. I mean, I don't know how old Melania is, but I would think early mid-50s. And Trump is almost 80, like 78, 79. And given all of his escapades,
she seems like a smart she seems like a smart enough woman that she's squirreled some money away somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, she got well. That I'm sure of.
You know, and
I'm sure. Go ahead.
No, I'm stepping.
No, I'm sure she's got some money away somewhere.
And Barron's in school, and Barron is at college in New York, and right, they've done. I'm gonna have to say she, because if it was up to Trump, I bet he would have leveraged the kid all the way along. But she's done a really good job of keeping Barron out of the limelight, out of the controversy, out of the swamp, getting the kid an education. So, there's something there that she does seem like she's a smart enough woman that she could walk away.
Oh, you think? I mean, look, she's 54. Trump is 78. So Trump is about 25 years older than her.
Yeah.
Right? Given all of his bad press about his escapades and so forth and so on, I mean, there's got to be a lot of tension in that household. I mean, he can't. He might be able to explain one away and get some grace and some forgiveness. But when you get a truckload of these things.
Yeah. Well, she lives in New York. He lives in Mar-a-Lago. I think he's afraid to go to New York at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, here's Linda saying the parts of the Project 2025 that I've read have a theme that the people are unable to rule themselves in a democratic democracy forum. A dictator leader and leaders from the power elite must lead to control the people. Yes. And that is a major theme, Linda, right? The people are unable, that we can't do this ourselves, that we're too dumb and we're too stupid to know what's best for us. And I'm convinced there is.
And they don't make it easy by putting out fake news.
Yeah, that's true too. You see the one of Trump trudging his way through the floodwaters? It's obviously AI. Like, it's an obvious AI photo. Even the fingers on both the people in the photo, the supposed photo, or they don't have enough fingers. Their hands are all mucked up, and that's a notorious AI photo generation thing. But it was absolutely a joke. That the people that they want to instill as leaders actually believe that the people are that stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't.
Here's what happens to thinking you have absolute control. All we have to do is look at the weather. They modeled that storm right up till the very end as going to hit Tallahassee, Florida.
Right.
And at the last minute, so to speak, it went 50 miles away and went through Perry. Now, that was in some ways a godsend. Tallahassee is a much bigger city than Perry, and it's the capital. So it would have been a bigger devastation in Florida. But, you know, just to show how we think we're so intelligent and we can control things or understand things at this infinitesimal degree, yeah. And we're not in control. We can't. We can take precautions. We can be prepared. We can study the situation and you know, move in accordance with that. But we can't control this stuff. And that's what these politicians want to do. And they'll get better opportunities to attempt it if they keep giving us false news, telling people you don't need to read, you can't rule yourself, you know, just follow me. I'm the Pied Piper.
Exactly. Now, come on. The rules were that we weren't going to fact check each other. Right? I'll be straight up, folks. I did not watch the vice presidential debate. I tried, and it put me to it didn't put me to sleep. It just bored the hell out of me that I had to go do something. I had to go do something to be mentally stimulated, and went to work and got some work done. Right, but the next morning, the memes that are out there, and I mean, okay, so if there was ever a question that all this stuff is rigged, JD Vance lets the cat out of the bag, but does it in a way that makes himself look like a fool. And he's being fact checked, and he interrupts the moderator to say, "Now the rules were you weren't gonna fact check me." We're just saying, wait a minute, you can't yell at me for lying because you said you weren't going to check. Corey, if you're not going to fact check me, of course I'm going to lie to you. That's my job. And it like the two of them together make every politician in the world look terrible.
Yeah, I mean, to think that someone would say that's running for office and trying to convince people that they have their best interests at heart is ludicrous. And you know, I don't know. I mean, we were talking before we came on, and I if I didn't have a real sense of the longevity of this and the long-term implications of this whole thing, I would be sick of it. I mean, I am sick of it. But I would be like a lot of people who I see them, interview on TV. They're saying, I don't even know if I'm going to vote, which I think that's not the right answer. But I mean, it's like bad drama TV is what this is.
Yep. You just said something that because I too feel that fatigue. And I've started saying that to people publicly. Look, I know who I'm voting for. You're not going to change there's nothing going to change my mind at this point. But the whole thing starts, right? January 6th starts the campaign for 2028. Or November 6th, or maybe January 6th, or wherever it's going to be. Interestingly enough, January 6th, 2025 is a Monday, which means it will once again be the day that we shift power. January 6th again, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
we get to do J6 part 2. J6 version 2, J6 V2.0. Let's go. And the whole process starts so friggin' early that I think part of the intent is we can just wear them down with the lies. They're stupid. They won't fact check. They won't know the difference. We'll set up the rules that you can't fact check me, and I'll make you feel like a fool if you do fact check me, and we'll just lie, wear them down, lie, until they all say, screw it, I'm not even going to vote.
Yep.
I was
going to say, that's the plan. If I give you enough confusion where you can't make a decision, you're not going to make a decision. You're going to make some uninformed decision.
Right. Yep. So now more than ever, we've got to remain diligent, folks. Vigilant and diligent right now.
Yeah.
We're going to do a quick plug for, well, not that, sorry, wrong plug. This plug. If you're not listening, I get these half an hour, 32 minutes from now, my phone's going to ring, and I'm going to pick up the phone, and I'm going to get a message from some amazing spiritual leader in this world who is sharing an insight on how we can tune out the fear, tune into a vision, and remain active in this process. If you're not already getting these phone calls, folks, text join to 470-784-0250. And you know what I love about these, Z, is I really am impressed with the system, the programming, the company they're using to make this happen. Because if I miss the phone call, all I got to do is hit the button and call back. I don't have to go to the website. You can go to the website and get the past recordings and listen to other recordings if it's more than a day old, and go back and listen to other things. But if it's just a matter of, I was a little busy and I didn't see the phone ring, or I was taking my kid to school, and you can just real quick hit the call back, and you get that day's message, and in 2 to 3 minutes, your life changes. Your perspective on this whole process changes. It's really Dr. David Alexander and his team really did a great job. Linda's in, love these messages. Really, it did a great job on this project, and it's things like this that we can do. You spoke earlier about drops in the bucket, right? We've got to be those drops in the bucket. That's how you make a dirty bucket clean. You add more clean water, and you keep adding clean water until there's an overflow of clean water that washes away the dirty.
Yeah.
And we've got to add every drop to the bucket we can, whether that's actively campaigning for a candidate, whether that's listening to programs like this, sharing different programs, trying to share the truth on social media. We know they're probably not listening, but you can try to share. It feels good to share the truth, and everything. And then most importantly, make sure we vote.
Right. And, we were talking before, I know here in Colorado, what we call the Blue Book has come out, and I'm pretty sure the Blue Book is being distributed around the country around this time, if it hasn't already been delivered. And it is all of the things locally that will be on the ballot, all the referendums, all the candidates, all the stuff that you need to know about what will be on the ballot. And we have a big Blue Book this time. So now that we have 30-something days before you go and vote, pick up that book and go through the stuff that's on the ballot. Read it. If it's not clear, go and do some research. I mean, I read a couple of them. They're pretty clear, so I put a yes or no. But then there were some that were a little vague, so I got to go do a little more research. So I went through, I checked all my stuff off, and now I'm going back and looking at what need to be further investigated, and then I'll be ready to vote.
Yep.
But we got to be informed. We can't just get enthralled with the upper ticket and not deal with the lower ticket.
Right. Colorado has and I'm sorry, I can't remember if it's a constitutional amendment or if it's just a law, a statute or an initiative to protect women's rights and women's rights to abortion. And it might be constitutional, yes. And so Colorado, right? And this is how the action takes. The Supreme Court, in its wisdom, I guess, Supreme Court in its bias, did away with Roe v. Wade, took away the federal protection for a woman's right to access health care, specifically abortion care. And Colorado is saying, okay, if it's a state's right, the state wants this to be protected. And I think I think that's gonna win easily here in Colorado. heck, if Melania's voting in favor of a woman's right to an abortion, I'm pretty sure Colorado's going to vote that way too. So I trust. So, but that's the important part, right? All of this doesn't matter. Who sits in the head office doesn't matter if we're voting against our own interests at the local level, at the state level. There's got to be a combination. And, that's the big thing. I keep seeing, again, these false attacks. Well, if you wanted to change all this stuff, speaking to Harris, right? Why haven't you done it? You've been in power for 4 years. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you done it? And it's that sort of ignorance that says, oh, the president just has a magic wand. You got to have Congress with you. You've got to have the judiciary on board with these types of, and the vice president doesn't create policy. The vice president enacts. The vice president promotes policy, but maybe has a hand in writing some of it, but doesn't write the policy. And truthfully, I think this administration's been handcuffed by an obstructionist Congress that specifically in the Senate so I want to see the big blue wave, dude. I really do. I want to see Boebert lose. I want to see her go home crying because you don't like me anymore. And I want to see Marjorie Taylor Greene quaking in her boots because her time's coming soon. And I want to see this MAGA Republic, this MAGA movement just taken out at the knees and crippled to a point of nope, you're a has, just like Tea Party. We're done talking about MAGA. I so want to be talking about MAGA.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I look forward to, based on the campaigning, that the ideas and the approach that Vice President Harris has is a more sensible, more non-rhetoric, and less accusatory, which is where we need to start moving this needle back, right? Let's just say, for argument's sake, that both parties are off on the extremes of the spectrum, right?
Yep.
But the only party that's offering a candidate and a platform to try to move it back to a more central or centric point is the Democrats.
Yeah.
The Republican Party is trying to extend the far right, right? They're trying to make it go even further than the normal pole that it's supposed to be sitting on. And that's going to be problematic if we can't get people to calm down. Let's start looking at things sensibly. Let's not get caught up in the rhetoric and not listen to the details or the facts and go off half-cocked and create an issue that does not have to happen.
Yep. It just struck me that we have an opportunity as people not only to show the powerful, those that would believe in Project 2025, those that would believe that the people are stupid and need to be whipped into shape. We have the opportunity to prove that consciousness and action are what changed the world.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody's taking action is everywhere. We are taking action. The Democrats are taking action. The Republicans are taking action. The MAGAs are taking action. The Nazis are taking action. Everybody's taking action.
Yeah.
And it's the consciousness that we come from that I believe is going to be paramount and most important. But we can't just sit on our hands and hope and pray. We can't just send thoughts and best wishes. We can't say, oh, my vote doesn't count, and we can't say my little drop in the bucket doesn't make a difference. We have to take action based on our consciousness, based on our consciousness, period. Inspired action.
Yeah. And I think one of the key points for this election is be informed. Don't just listen to any of the candidates. I don't care who they are. Go and do your own research, and then which would be a great litmus test by itself. Look at the facts and then see how closely the candidates are speaking to those facts. Now, we know part of the politician is to be a great salesman. And so we know they're going to gilt the lily a little bit, as they say. But, but one that's going to be.
There's a difference between a salesman and an outright huckster, just lying to you and trying to sell you a used car that's got sawdust in the transmission, right? There's a major difference. I'm with you. Let him be a little bit of a salesperson, but now come on. We said we wouldn't fact check each other. Come on now. Let's play by the rules of not playing by the rules. We both agree to cheat here. Let's keep ourselves cheating, right? Hey, we're gonna have to wrap this up, folks. And if you like this kind of stuff, come back again next week. And if you don't, come back again next week, because next week's going to be a completely different type of program. I will be live on scene from Unity Village at the affiliated New Thought Network Fall Retreat, and I will have a stage full of ministers on this program. We like to give Elzia the week off on this one. So he's going to take the week off. I'm going to have a whole panel discussion on stage next Friday. And we'll be chatting more about all kinds of fun stuff in the New Thought movement. Here on the New Thought Media Network, we're documenting the changes and the shifts that are happening in the New Thought movement and casting a vision for what we can do together as a movement to help shape a better world for all. We invite you to join us on that journey. Stay with us today throughout our programming. And remember, we've got the good news. If you want more of the good news that's happening in the world, then tune in later this evening, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm actually off this week, and our dear friend Reverend Barbara Jean is hosting the good news this week. So join her for that. Z, final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, do your homework. Everybody, go and look at what's on your ballots. Go and look at, this is for your local and state and county ballots. Go look and see what's there. See who's running. Top thing, and forget.
Beautiful. Yes. Get out the vote, folks. Get out and vote. Or, hey, come to Colorado. Stay in and vote. I'm going to give Colorado one more plug. We have the best voting system, vote by mail system. I love it. Every year, never fails, always works great. Yes. Full accountability and transparency when your ballot's coming, when they have it, when that they have counted it, the whole 9 yards. But one way or the other, remember to vote. Mm-hmm. On behalf of everyone here on the New Thought Media Network, we want to thank you for being a part of what we're doing. Until next time, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.